afternoon, Jacket fans, here from McKe Baseball Park in Rush Chandler Stadium as it's time for another afternoon of Georgia Tech baseball.
How do you get better when you've already shown your best? When you've already shattered records and dominated the competition?
2 pitches in, and Drew Burris sends one out of here in a hurry.
A new standard has been set on the flats, and a historic start means nothing if you don't prove it over and over again every day.
Rounding third until the plate is cursed.
It's a new week and a new challenge. Jackets All Access starts now.
Well, you can't win them all. 9-0 would have been nice, but 8-1 is not half bad. The Yellow Jackets still looking every bit like a national title contender after last night's loss to Georgia State. But the appetizers have almost been finished. That main course of ACC play right around the corner. But first, it's a Big Ten opponent coming down south. Northwestern, another test for Tech. And maybe just the test they need heading into conference play. Welcome into Jackets All Access on Atlanta News First. I'm A&F Sports anchor Connor Hines, flying solo with you tonight. In partnership with Georgia Tech, we're bringing you exclusive local and in-depth coverage all season long of the Yellow Jackets as they march their way through 2026. And by All Access, we mean just that. More interviews, more stories, an inside perspective on exactly what it takes to get to Omaha. Taking a look at what's ahead on the show tonight, get ready to meet Tate. That would be right-hander Tate McKe, the Yellow Jackets strikeout machine, who says Omaha is within sight with the right mindset. Plus, the national media chiming in on Tech in 2026. We go one-on-one with Danny Wexleman of Perfect Game and somebody who's very familiar with the Jackets. And later, we will ask these guys just about anything, see what curveball we throw their way in this week's edition of Quick Hits. But first, perfection sure sounds good, but that's just about impossible to achieve in college baseball. The Yellow Jackets undefeated no more after last night's 9-4 loss to Georgia State and spoiling a really good day for right-hander Jackson Blakely. The sophomore from Thomaston in his college debut, shining bright in that first career start with 9 strikeouts. They say anything can happen in the midweek. Tuesday night certainly proving that to be true. In fact, just Tuesday alone, 5 different teams in D1 baseball's top 25 upset, including the top 2 teams in the country in UCLA and LSU. Meanwhile, number 6 Arkansas falls at home to Arkansas State, as well as 13th ranked Oklahoma going down at the hands of Arizona State. So the Yellow Jackets not alone. Time to head inside the locker room. Postgame with head coach James Ramsey, who had a strong message for his guys about resilience.
This team is mature. This team has good leaders. And this team knows what it takes to win. Okay? So when we scrimmage and we talk about letting the other team feel good about themselves, and we warn you about letting people hang around, and we warn you about not playing complimentary baseball, okay? This is what happens. A really good team, which this team has a chance to be an elite team, if there's one goal of all the goals you wrote down about winning every game at home, that's over. Winning every midweek, that's over. Controlling the state. You play them a week from now, okay? It comes down to this, okay? Are you going to make excuses, or we're going to get better?
Hey, good news for the Jackets. They're going to get a few more cracks at those in-state teams, and as soon as next week when they rematch with Georgia State up the road in Gwinnett. Georgia Southern on the schedule again as well. West Georgia, March 10th. Kennesaw State faces Tech twice in April. We got the showdown with Georgia April 21st at Truist Park and Mercer later on in May. Well, despite Tuesday's loss, the Yellow Jackets are still on a record-setting pace, averaging more than 14 runs per game. The offensive output is truly astounding. They're 130 runs, the most through the first 9 games of a season in the program's 131-year history. Atlanta News First sports reporter Kinsey Lee breaking down the record-breaking numbers at the plate.
One run after another after another. The Yellow Jackets at a record-setting, nation-leading pace for runs scored to start the season, 75 in the first 4 games alone, and hit the 100-run mark in just their 7th game by none other than Drew Burress for his first home run of the season.
1-0 is ripped into left field. This ball is tattooed and it sails to the practice field. 2 pitches in and Drew Burress sends one out of here in a hurry and a 1-0 Georgia Tech lead.
The team scored double-digit runs in their first 6 games, the first time to do that in program history.
These guys are the ones that, a year from now, we're going to be saying, hey, remember when, Lackey did this. The coolest part is their maturity of how they take their bats. They'll go right field line to left field line. It's just cool to see these guys that have grown through in the program and that have stepped into these roles as superstars.
Vaughn Lackey and Alex Hernandez leading the way at the plate.
I just contribute to our hard work in the offseason. We try not to take any at-bats off. Every day we're trying to work on something, find something new to work on. So, every guy's trying to get better every day. The last 2 weeks of the preseason, we were all just so anxious to play.
I've never enjoyed playing baseball more in my life than playing with the group of guys we have right now. We're everyone's circled game. We're the hunted. People want to go out there and give their best chance and just take one game from us in a weekend. And so knowing that we can just go out there and play baseball, trusting the guys that we have, just keep playing our game, we're going to be completely fine.
Kinsey Lee, Atlanta News First.
All right, so a lot of focus on the offense to start the year, and rightfully so. But let's be clear here. Georgia Tech's starting pitching staff is just as dominant. Exhibit A, that'll be right-hander Tate McKe, the Mount Perrin grad who started all 16 series openers for Tech as a sophomore. Atlanta News First Sports Director Bailey Burmaster recently catching up with the Jackets ace to find out what makes Tate tick.
Tate McKe to the hill, making game 1 start number 14.
For you personally, what stood out about last season?
Mentally, I made some big strides. Going into college as a freshman, you really don't understand how much the game is mental. And that was probably the biggest takeaway I had from this past season. I had some ups and downs. The ups were, I got to throw 7 innings in a regional at Oxford and get us a win in the first game of the regional and throw well in the ACC tournament.
Swung on and missed. Big fan of a miss from Winslow.
Things like that, and then I had some outings where I didn't make it past the first. So it was a fun season to get to learn.
What do you go through when maybe you're down and trying to get back to where you want to be?
Last year there was a little 3-week span where I went through I really struggled, and I was going down to everything. I was overthinking everything. Once I found my way out of it, it was actually probably one of the biggest ups, positives of my career. I walked 8 people and threw 5 innings against Duke, and it was probably the best 8-walk game you could ever have in the history of a game. And that was really why I flipped my season around.
Let's talk about the 2026 Yellow Jackets. How would you describe the very real aura around this team? We love spending time together off the field, on the field, and it's a talented group for sure. It's probably as talented of a squad as I've been on, through summer ball and things like that. So it's getting to play against these guys every day it sucks, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun too. What would you say are the main goals for this team going into this season? For us, it's just keeping it small. The expectations are so high. That can be hard for guys, especially for a program like this that really hasn't been in that spotlight for a while. If we do what we need to do every week, it will end up working out to where we want to be in the national championship or in Omaha. How would you describe the batting order for this team? Because Vaughn said he feels confident, and he's scared to say that because he's almost so confident in it. So what's your take on it? It's probably the best lineup I've faced, head to toe. I've never seen, a 7-hole in a scrimmage, an inter-squad scrimmage, be battling for a spot. Normally the 7-hole in a scrimmage of an inter-squad, the guys normally an easier out. It's a lot of fun, but it's tough. It can be frustrating facing guys 50 different times and, facing Drew, Vaughn, and Jaron and not being able to get them out consistently. I would say it's probably the number one lineup in the country. So, out of everyone in that batting order, who chirps the most? I would say probably Drew, just because we're Why
roommates.
am I not shocked?
I would say overall to everybody else, just to me, because we're roommates and we have a competition going probably. But when it was my birthday, he posted a video of him hitting a homer off me on Instagram, and then when it was his birthday, I posted a video of me striking him out on 3 pitches. So it's more of just a best friend type deal. If you were to talk to a younger Tate, what would he think about where you are now? My whole family went to Auburn, so originally a younger Tate wanted to go to Auburn, and then I couldn't be more thankful for where I ended up here. Just because I've gotten so much experience. I've thrown 130 career innings, things like that, to where I couldn't be more grateful. I've made some unbelievable friends. I got to be a part of this team and things like that. So, I mean, I think Lil Tate would be pretty happy for where he's at.
The McKe and the rest of the Tech pitchers will face their real test this weekend. A 3-game set here in town against Northwestern. Since losing their first 2 games to start the year, the Wildcats have rattled off 5 wins in a row. First pitch Friday, set for 4 p.m. So as we turn our attention to the Wildcats, time for this weekend's player to watch. A lot of talk about Drew Burress through the first couple of weeks, and rightfully so. But we're going to go ahead and talk about the other Drew here, who Tech fans are getting to know pretty quick if they didn't already. Drew Rogers off to a scorching hot start, hitting for a .318 average with 2 homers and 12 RBIs through just 9 games. Some programs have trouble finding just one catcher who can hit. The Jackets have 2 of them in Rogers and Von Leck. All right, we're just getting started here on Jackets All Access. Coming up next, an outside perspective on what it will take for Tech to win the ACC and make it to Omaha. Plus, imagine being a player and walking past this wall every day. Talk about motivation. We spoke to the guys about this new addition at the ballpark. More Jackets All Access after the break. Stay with us. Well, you need some good ball players if you're going to accomplish the lofty goals that Georgia Tech has, and those guys will now be reminded every day this season of all the good ball players that have come before them on the flats. Tech unveiling a brand new MLB first rounders wall outside the team's clubhouse. Photos dedicated to past Yellow Jackets that got the call in the first round of the MLB draft, and a number that currently stands at 12, but should jump by a few come July. Likely first-round draft pick Drew Burress. He's focused on the present, but also knows what could be in his future.
We're excited to win a lot of baseball games, and that's what we're here to do. But at the end of the day, you want to continue your career as a professional baseball player, and there's so many guys that are so talented that are here right now that are going to have a chance to make that wall, and it's just something really cool at the end of the day.
Yeah, no doubt tons of talent on the roster and sky-high expectations for this Tech team. Those that know ACC baseball are giving the Jackets more than a fighting chance to come out of the conference and go to Omaha, including Danny Wexleman, who recently caught up with Atlanta News First Sports Director Bailey Burmaster to talk all things Tech.
I am here with Danny Wexleman, sideline reporter for the St. Louis Cardinals. However, she has dabbled in a lot of Georgia Tech baseball because she has called some of their games. She's super in tune with this team. Starting off, Danny, I just have to ask, what are your thoughts on where this Georgia Tech baseball program sits right now?
Well, I am so thrilled to be here. You know, I love to talk ball, especially college baseball. One of my favorite parts about the sport is the guys who are playing at this level, and getting an up close and personal look at Georgia Tech has been so incredible to see the growth of the program. Danny Hall, obviously leading the way for so long, a legendary coach, and leaving the program in such great hands. They've continued to get better on the pitching side of things. We know the boys in the flats can hit. They've always been able to hit. That's the bread and butter of Georgia Tech, as well as the catching side of things. It's been the pitching that's kind of been the bugaboo, I think, for the past 5-6 years. While the ACC has grown so much, talent has continued to rise. And so while Georgia Tech's always been so prevalent on the hitting side of things, the pitching has finally come along. And I think that this program, now led by James Ramsey, will be able to compete, make a deep run, and I expect big things from the team. I have really high hopes for them this year.
What's your read on Ramsey and what he'll be able to do in his first year with the Yellow Jackets?
I think the biggest thing that people already know, but let me reinforce, is how important he is to this team in relationship building and understanding his players and their strengths and their weaknesses. And he was really intentional when he went to the portal and added a couple pieces in there. Jaron Advincula, one of them coming from Cal, but staying in the ACC. That's what James Ramsey does really well. His recruiting background has made this team so heavy hitter. Like, they understand that side of things, but he's got that great staff around him to kind of just clean up in all the little different areas. So James Ramsey is the perfect person to lead this program for a very long time. But in this era in particular, the way that guys are acclimated to technology and information, they want to come play for a guy like James Ramsey.
You know, you were not getting in this interview without talking about the top prospect on their team in Drew Burress. What do you see from him as a player?
Yeah, I've been really lucky to know and cover Drew Burress since he was in high school, maybe late middle school, he and his family. And the thing about Drew is that he's been one of the most consistent players that I've ever covered in my career, whether it comes to the mechanics of his swing, practicing, preparing, nutrition, taking care of his body. Like, this guy has been paying attention to these things for a really long time. And he's the kind of guy that people gravitate towards. They want to know, what's Drew Burress doing? What's Drew Burress thinking? How does Drew Burress do this? And that's why he's been so important.
Obviously, when you look at this lineup for Georgia Tech, it is stacked. Is there any reason they won't be in the College World Series come this summer?
I think they're still trying to figure out the pitching side of things. Like, if you look at their offense, tops in the country, they've got a great 1 through 4, but also the bottom of that lineup can turn things over. That's the important part for the offense. They are going to be a team that consistently leads the country in a lot of offensive categories. That's not a worry of mine. I think it's, how do they put the pitching together? In the past few years, they've continued to lower their ERA. They've found gems. The ACC is a dogfight. Like, we talk about the SEC a lot, but ACC baseball is just as good. The competition is just as stiff. And so if the pitching side of things can keep them in games, right? Run prevention. Let's use that word for a second. If they give their team a chance to score enough runs, then they'll be able to get the job done and make a deep run.
Going off of that, you mentioned the ACC. Who are going to be their biggest competitors this season?
It's stacked. It is absolutely stacked. Coming off last year, there were so many teams that got into the postseason. Only Louisville made it to Omaha, which was really fascinating. But they have a lot of teams that have improved in so many ways. Florida State and North Carolina and Wake Forest are always going to be the big guys, Clemson included in that. But Miami has started to come on. Louisville, who consistently wins and has a winning program, and so does NC State. Like, I'm naming all the teams, but I'm going to be really honest. That's how good the ACC is right now. But again, I have full faith that Georgia Tech should go to Omaha, and they should have a really great chance of winning the national championship.
Danny Wexleman, thank you so much for your time.
Great stuff there from Danny. Still ahead here on Jackets All Access. We head inside the locker room to ask players some pretty tough questions. Stick around. We're back in 3. One of the really cool things about Jackets All Access, as crazy as it sounds, it's not all about baseball. You're not going to see many highlights or X's and O's here, but that's because the personalities on this team are just that great. To show that off, then asking off-the-wall questions that these guys aren't quite ready for. Our very first edition of Quick Hits is exactly that. Take a look.
You had one item you could bring on a stranded island. What would it be and why?
Probably just like a fishing rod, because I can just like fish and then it's also fun at the same time. Why not?
I'm probably going sleep mask, to be honest. I can't go to sleep without that thing. It is a sleeping hack and will put you to sleep in 10 minutes.
Probably my dog Wembley, just to keep me company.
I feel like a baseball. I mean, it could keep me occupied all day. Just throw that thing around. There's really nothing else to do on a stranded island.
I would bring probably like a multi-purpose tool. I mean, I'm trying to survive. I would love being on an island by myself anyway, so I think like a little multi-purpose tool would be fun to have.
Probably just a bunch of water bottles.
My phone, for sure. I could be on my phone all day, never get bored.
What about if it goes dead?
If it goes dead, then tee and a bat and a ball, I'll be all right.
I'm gonna go flare gun. I feel like that's you just gotta be prepared for somebody to fly over there. You can't be too far away from somebody just flying their plane or something. You gotta have that flare gun available.
Love how everyone was like baseball, bat, helmet. If anyone cares, I think I would bring a hammock. I don't know. Get a chance to kick your feet up a little bit? Yeah, who knows? All right, moving on. As we told you a little bit earlier, the weekend series is going to get a little more difficult for Tech moving forward. Northwestern on deck this weekend. Then it's time for ACC play, starting with Virginia Tech here in Atlanta, followed by the first road series of the season at Clemson. Last year, the Tigers hosted a regional, but fell in the super regional. Clemson also knocked Tech out of the ACC tournament. Moving on to next week here on Jackets All Access, catch part 2 of our sit-down interview with head coach James Ramsey. Here's a preview of what's ahead.
It is challenging. I mean, it's not easy to be any college coach nowadays. The labor it takes in from coaching to recruiting, The family has to make a lot of sacrifices. All our staff makes a lot of sacrifices, but there's nothing more fulfilling than going through with a group and having a common goal and being able to achieve those things.
Now, Coach also talked to us about the state of college baseball, navigating NIL, analytics, and the transfer portal, plus how much it means to him to coach in the city that he grew up in. We'll also recap this weekend and look ahead to ACC play, but that will do it for us tonight. Thanks so much for tuning in for Jackets All Access on Atlanta News First. Don't forget the boys back at McKe against Northwestern starting Friday. First pitch at 4 p.m. We're back here next Wednesday, same time, same place. I'm Connor Hines. You have a good night. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.